Malaysia's general election is expected to be called in a matter of weeks, but already the race has forever changed the country's political landscape. Former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad wants his job back, and he's teamed up with an old foe, Anwar Ibrahim. Dr Mahathir famously fired his deputy in the late 1990s, and this ultimately led to Anwar's imprisonment. But the 92-year-old says it's now necessary for them to work together. We spoke to Dr Mahathir from his office just outside Kuala Lumpur. We opened about whether he could justify destroying his own former party by trying to remove Najib from office.
Well, it is no longer the same party. It is not sticking to the original objective of formation of the party. It is just there in order to support the existing president to remain as the Prime Minister of this country. For this, he uses all kinds of methods, including bribery, corruption, and threats, and taking action against anybody who's against him. And he has overcome the division, the separation of powers between the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. All these institutions are now under his control. So this is not a kind of government we aim for. We wanted a democratic government. But his party now is supporting an authoritarian government. So if I have to destroy this party, actually the party has already been destroyed by him. I'm trying to revive the ideals of the nation.
Do you not see the hypocrisy, though, of running alongside a man in Anwar Ibrahim that you condemned as unfit to govern and, in fact, ran a very bitter campaign against?
Well, in those days, I felt it was justified. But by comparison to what is happening now, I think that what I did was perhaps a little bit harsh, but it was a different circumstance entirely. And now I think the more important thing is not to look back on the past, but to look forward into the future, because the future can be very bad for us if we just concentrate on our animosities in the past.
If you were to be successful, you'd be the oldest leader in the world. Is a vote for Mahathir a vote for Anwar?
Well, in a way it is, because we have promised that I would be the Prime Minister for a short while until he is pardoned. He needs to be pardoned by the King before he can participate in politics again. So that may take 2 years, 3 years. I don't think I will want to stay on for much longer, because I'm very conscious about my age, and I don't think I can survive too long or one full term as Prime Minister.
So this is very much about getting rid of Najib Razak.
Yes, it is very much about getting rid of Najib. This man is, well, he's a monster in the view of most people in Malaysia. They think that he is just about enriching himself, having a good life, and at the same time using money to buy support, promoting corruption on a huge scale, stealing government money by the billions of dollars. You see, this is not something that we want to see.
You said that this is going to be the dirtiest campaign in history, this election. Do you believe that anything is being done to make sure that Barisan Nasional remains in power?
Well, it is the dirtiest election ever, because he has meddled with the electoral roll. He has changed the boundaries of the constituencies. He has also used bribery. Even now he is bribing people, and he is going to delist or withdraw recognition of my party, so that we cannot we have formed a coalition. He has not given his approval for this coalition to contest as one party. Instead, we will be broken up into 4 parties, and the chances are that he will delist my party especially, so that I cannot contest under my party's support.
So realistically then, what are your chances of success?
Yeah, we are very strong. We think we can win, but what I do think is that he will cheat to the maximum. If we lose, it is due to cheating, fraud, and things like that.
Well, our Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull will meet Najib Razak on the sidelines of ASEAN. Are you concerned that this will enhance Najib's credentials on the world stage?
Well, he's been trying to do that all the time, having photo opportunities and all that, because he wants to show Malaysians that he is well accepted. But I think when you know a man is a thief, you should stay away from him.
If we can turn to ASEAN itself, in the past you've been fairly dismissive of Australia's attempts to be part of this regional grouping. What do you think now?
Well, this is not about ASEAN. This is about ASEAN's relation with Australia. That has always been there. You have not broken relation with ASEAN countries, but it's not necessary that you should be a member of ASEAN.
But do you think we should have some kind of alliance or grouping with ASEAN a little more formally?
Well, we may have to consider it if there is any application later on, but it all depends upon the new government that will be formed.
With ASEAN itself, are you concerned that it has lost its impact, particularly with the rise of China and I guess the US's indifference?
Well, Malaysia is quite friendly with China, but I'm afraid that we have gone beyond that, where we have some agreements about joint patrol and things like that. I don't believe in having any agreement which commits us to the policies of another country. So I would like to see Malaysia remain neutral and friendly to everybody.
So, Dr Mahathir, do you believe through soft diplomacy China has become too powerful?
Well, this is something that we are worried about, because Najib has been borrowing money from China, and from the experience of other countries, those who borrow money from China and find it impossible to repay the project or the area of their land developed by the Chinese would belong to the Chinese. We don't want any part of Malaysia to be owned by a foreign country.
Are you concerned too that any regional discussion and progress at ASEAN could be hijacked by a kind of Cold War mentality?
Yeah, well, I think the whole world is moving in that direction, with all the threats being hurled at each other. I think already the world is divided, and this kind of disease can spread into our region as well.
Back home in Malaysia, how much of an impact has the 1MDB scandal had on ordinary Malaysians?
So they don't fully understand what 1MDB is all about. And if their numbers are big, they do not see the problem. They may still continue to support the government. But we feel that a big portion of them now understand that they are faced with a very serious problem, including, of course, the high cost of living resulting from the maladministration of the Najib government. So I think whether it be about the 1MDB or the high cost of living or the new tax, the General Services Tax, GST, will influence their thinking. It's something that we have to assure them or explain to them so that they make the right choice.
And are you not concerned what an electoral loss would do to your legacy?
Of course I am concerned. Of course I am concerned. It will make it all the more difficult for us to change the government, because if he wins this election, he will strengthen his grip over the country. And even now, we don't have any democracy, any rule of law. But after this, of course, he's going to go all out to establish himself as a kind of permanent ruler of the country.
Dr. Mahathir, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.